Feeling a dip in your hip, a glide in your stride. Welcome to the Mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe, with shows throughout the week. Everything you want, everything you could need. From the paranormal to the supernatural, from the spiritual to the unknown, from emotions to comedy. You can find us at Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so much more. This is R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
Tonight, we venture into the truth behind the fairy tales. This is Raven. Raven is here to tell you the truth of the stories. No worries if you are afraid. I have my axe. I will chop them dead for you. The Valkyrie has come. We will have stories, not your average fairy tales. Not at all. Tonight, we start with Cinderella. Cinderella. Let your children leave the room now. There will be blood and gore and lots of fun. Come join me. We're going to have a good time tonight. Yes, we are. Let's start right off. We're going to be talking about Cinderella, our first story of the night. We'll weed you in. Weed you in is what we're going to do. Now, this story of Cinderella is by the Brothers Grimm. The true story of the real fairy tale. It starts off easy enough, but the story does get a little gory. Now, according to the original story, Cinderella cries under a hazel tree she planted over her mother's grave. And a white dove comes to comfort her, not a fairy. Aha. During the ball, when her stepmother and stepsisters departed, it was not a fairy, but it was a white dove that drops the dress and the shoes. Now, the ball was a 3-night affair, not one. The first night, Cinderella wears her silk slippers, then glass slippers, the next, the gold slippers, and the third night, it is the gold slipper that the prince finds. That much is true. But when he visits every maiden in town, looking for his true love, Cinderella, the eldest sister, cuts off her toes. She cut off her toes to fit her feet into the golden slipper. The prince, unfortunately, is dumb enough not to notice that her toes are missing. And as he gets back to his castle, the white dove approaches him and tells him, "This is not your Cinderella." So he proceeds to go back to the house again. This time, the second stepsister cut her heel off. Blood and guts were everywhere. She cut her heel off to fit it into the golden slipper so she too could marry the prince. But once again, he misses it, and the dove has to inform him. Now, at this point of the story, I'm wondering something here. Now, does this guy really deserve to be king? I don't know. He's just can't seem to see what's right in front of his face at this point. Okay, his powers of observation are lacking. Finally, he finds Cinderella. He thanks the dove, and they get married. But wait, the gore continues. I hate to disappoint. At the wedding, Cinderella's sisters try to win her over, but the white dove flies down and pecks out their eyes. So now they are not only crippled, but they are also blind. Ah, yes, Cinderella and the prince continue to rule the kingdom to the end. But was it Cinderella that ruled? The power of the women? Or, hey, Nikki, or was it the prince? So a little twist on those. A little twist. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to my insane night. Welcome to Raven Swans Flock. I thought I would go to town, have a little fun. Everybody has been so, I don't know. It's been down in the dumps with everything that's been happening. I figure people need a few laughs. So what do you think, okay? You can laugh with me or laugh at me. Either way, you'll be laughing and I'm good with it. So let's have a good time tonight. Tonight is fairy tales. Next week, back to readings. Tonight you have the Vegan, the Valkyrie Raven, telling you stories. The true stories of the fairy tales. Yeah, JR made this for me. So I had the feathers, I had the gauntlets to stop everything. Oh! But JR made the top for me. So, all right, let's have some fun. Share this out, guys. We're going to have a lot of fun. So next week is readings, okay? But today is the true story of fairy tales. Now, do you guys remember the story of Hansel and Gretel? How many of you guys remember Hansel and Gretel? I wonder what really, really happened. Do you want to find out with me? Do you? Because we can find out. Let's go. Let's find out. Again, according to Brothers Grimm tale, Hansel and Gretel are actually brother and sister. Okay? Sister pair, whose stepmother decides to leave them in the forest. They didn't get lost. Their stepmother left them in the forest where, when there is a female. Now, her main purpose is that they get lost and the family has enough to eat. So she put the two youngest siblings in the forest because there was not enough food for the family. They overhear their stepmother and gather white pebbles that they soap that they strew to finding their way back. Now, the stepmother actually cast them out a second time. This time, they're not so lucky. They keep roaming and reach the witch's house made of gingerbread and cake. The only part of the story in where you don't want to puke. Okay, here we go. We'll find this out. Now, the witch, oh no, is a cannibal. The witch is a cannibal who eats children who cross her way. She intends to eat Hansel and Gretel. However, they outsmart her and burn her alive in the oven. There, a child's tale full of cannibalism, children murdering mothers, and witches burning children. Hmm. So, thank you. So they went back and they decided to eat their stepmother. I wonder how many times they had to turn her on the rotisserie before she was done in life. You know, you don't want the rare little sour meat. They might have had to put some glaze on that, kind of pump them up a little bit. So I don't know. But these are the true tales, the true fairy tales. We're going to get through as many as we can tonight, is what we're going to get. So listen and don't worry. Grab your weapons. You shall be safe. Yes, here we go. You hear the tales of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. We all remember this tale. We all grew up with it. But which parts are true and which parts were fabricated? Let's find out, shall we? Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This story has two versions. Okay. In the first version, there were three bachelor bears living together in and an old woman breaks into their home. She eats all their pudding, sits and breaks their chairs. All their pudding. That must be a pretty heavy woman. Anyways, she sleeps in their bed. When the three bears arrive, they startle her awake. She jumps out the window, never to be seen again. Oh, that was the first floor. While the bears are there, they are nice and hospitable. The old lady is a foul-mouthed, troublesome, interfering creature. This is but the first. Now, over the year, the old lady was replaced by a young girl who was called by many names till finally they decided on Goldilocks. Such around the 20th century, the little girl was interfering, okay, and not at all sweet as the modern version states. Okay, the older version has a different ending to the tale. In some, she gets to eat by the bears. In some, say she runs away and the old lady. In some, they talk about to be eaten by the mother, rescuing her at the last minute. Okay, so she then thrashes throughout her life. She does teach you to stay away from bears and never to enter a stranger's home. So, the original story was not about the cute little girl named Goldilocks. The original story was actually about an older woman. An older woman Huh. Welcome, Ryan. Raven here, the Valkyrie. If you get scared, don't worry. I can travel and chop them down with my dagger and my axe. Let's have a little fun, have a little laughter. So that is the actual story of the three bears. Hmm. So, this one will be interesting. How many of you remember the story of Sleeping Beauty? Sleeping Beauty falls asleep until her prince comes to wake her up. She's in suspended animation, never aging for many, many years. Huh. But is that the real truth? Mm. Here we go once again, people. There are two versions to this story. Let's see which one was the original, shall we? Let's find out together. Once again, this story has two versions. The first version, everything is nice and happy, and the princess wakes up when the prince kisses her. But that's not the end. This prince has an ogre for a mother. Now he knows his mother will never accept the princess, and he carries on an affair in secret. The princess has borne him a son and a daughter. When the time for the prince to ascend to the throne arrives, he brings his family to the castle. The org mother banishes the princess and the children to the forest and orders the cook to cook them and serve them to her as a luncheon. One day, the cook replaces the boy with a lamb. The girl is replaced by goat's meat. Now, on day 2, the org never realizes the difference. On day 3, the princess, whose heart is broken over her children's deaths, offers to slit her throat. But the cook reunites her with her children, and serves the org red deer hide instead, cooked in sauce of rabbit. The org soon finds out she has been tricked and prepares the tub filled with vipers and foul creatures. However, before she can punish the cook, the princess and the children and the prince arrive. No one knows why he disappeared for 3 whole days, and the org throws herself into the tub and is consumed by her vile creatures. If that wasn't enough, here's more in version 2. Version 2. Now, it was not a prince, but an already married king that visits the sleeping princess. He finds her alive and unconscious and well. Even in the state, somehow she arouses him. Oh, this is going to get bad, people. He actually rapes her and leaves. So she was deflowered by the king. She is now pregnant and delivers twins, all while sleeping. Her little son suckles on her finger, and she finally awakes as he sucks the spindle poison out of her finger. He survives, though. Guess it had to be ingested, not ingested. But she awakens and is confused on seeing her 2 children. She begins to care for them. One day, the leech of a king is in a mood for something more sophisticated and to sow his oats again. Okay. Oh, God. So one day, as more than, okay, visits the princess. She's awake, though, and like a true, forgives the king and accepts it. He stays for a few days and then goes back to his kingdom. His wife, however, suspects something amiss. Hmm. So the king has been happily sleeping around. Infuriated, she asks Sleeping Beauty's children to be brought to the castle to be cooked. What is it with cooking children, people? Anyways, however, the cook actually saves the day. Again, the cook saves the day and hides the kids. Then orders Sleeping Beauty to be brought to herself and burned alive. Nice again, the king is missing from this scenario. He saves Sleeping Beauty and burns his queen instead. And then they get married and live happily ever after. Hmm. Very, very interesting. So, very interesting stories. These are not your average fairy tales. This is not a PG-13 type show. No, it is not. Let's get on to the next. Everybody must have seen The Little Mermaid. How the little mermaid wishes for live feet, but in the cartoon her voice is taken so she can't speak to the prince, but eventually woos him over when a medallion breaks and shatters. Let's find out if this is true or what the twists and turns are of this particular tale. Now, The Little Mermaid. Probably the saddest of the lot, it says. The Little Mermaid lives underwater kingdom with her father, grandmother, and sisters. Every year, post their 15th birthday, the sisters can take turns once a year to visit the surface to see the world outside. Once the Little Mermaid turn comes, she rises to the surface and witnesses a shipwreck. She saves the prince from drowning and promptly falls in love with him. The prince, however, is unconscious, and when the Little Mermaid leaves him on the shore steps of the temple, a young girl comes out of the temple, and the prince thinks it was the girl that saved him. The Little Mermaid is sad, but goes back to the sea. She then visits the mermaid witch, who agrees to give her the potion, which will change her tail into feet. However, she must part with her tongue. She will be the best dancer in the world, but her feet will feel as if they are being pricked by glass shards every minute, and her toes are bleeding. Also, she will get a human soul only if the prince falls in love and marries her. Otherwise, she will turn into sea foam. Not be trapped, but sea foam. Now, the Little Mermaid agrees. She reaches the shore, drinks the potion, and now has 2 feet. She is found by the prince, and he is mesmerized by her beauty. They become fast friends, and she accompanies him everywhere and dances with him. One day, the king announces that he has arranged for the prince to marry a princess from the neighboring kingdom. The prince The prince then reveals to the little mermaid that he loves the girl from the temple, as he thinks she saved him. By the twist of fate, the prince, he is destined to marry the same girl. She was visiting the temple that day when she saw the prince. They get married, and the little mermaid's heart is broken. When she is about to turn into sea foam, her sisters come to her with a dagger. They tell her she must stab the prince and let his blood flow over her feet. She will then get back her tail and become a mermaid again. She goes to kill the prince, but cannot, as she truly loves him. Instead, she falls into sea foam, dissolves not only into the foam and actually becomes one with the atmosphere. She rewarded for her true love if she serves humanity for another 300 years. She will rise to the higher realms. Wow. So much for the true love story. What do you think there? What do you think about that? Twisty, I know. That's okay. I really can't wait to find out the twist in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, because I'm telling you, these are the real fairy tales. I am pulling no punches. I am holding nothing back. But no worries, guys. No worries. I got you. Okay? I got my trusty little axe, and I got my trusty little dagger, so we could kill him for you. What do you think? Don't forget, next week, readings. Readings next week. Let's see. I can't wait to find out. Everybody knows Snow White, the Seven Dwarfs. Snow White goes out. She gets a little lost. And then the Seven Dwarfs, little miniature guys, come and save her, help her. She starts to take care of them. You know, all these things. And the brings her an apple, a bad apple, the witch, which was her stepmother. So let's find out what the twists and turns are with this. And again, these are all by Brothers Grimm. They are the actually original fairy tales. And these fairy tales were all written before Disney got a hold of them and fixed them. So most of the light-hearted fairy tales actually do come from stories way, way back. So I thought these would be interesting. So we have more time here. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Guys, I'm just reading the story, so if you are faint at heart, don't listen, because you never know. So far, we've had a lot of baby eaters here. Now, the evil queen is jealous of Snow White's beauty, orders a huntsman to take her to the woods to kill her. She ordered him to return with her lungs and liver so that she can relish it. Wonder if she was making it into relish or she really wanted. Okay. All right. So instead, the huntsman actually spares Snow White and brings the queen the lungs and liver of a boar. Snow White, meanwhile, reaches the home of the dwarfs, and they let her stay if she cooks and cleans and keeps house for them. The next day, the queen discovers the huntsman's deceit, as the mirror still proclaimed that Snow White is the fairest. The queen visits the home of the dwarfs disguised and tries to sell Snow White a lace bodice. Okay. She ties the lace bodice so tight that Snow White faints. The queen thinks her dead and depart. Now, the dwarfs come to revive her. The story actually repeats the second day when the queen uses a poisoned lanced comb to comb her hair. But again, she is saved by the dwarfs. The queen then gives Snow White a poisoned laced apple, As soon as she bites the apple, she falls into a death-like stupor. Death-like stupor. Now the dwarfs, thinking her to be dead, place her in a glass coffin. So far, not so far off. Soon a prince passes by and is enchanted by her. He orders the servants to take the glass off the coffin, and the dwarfs agree. When they are carrying the coffin, they stumble on some roots, and the coffin falls, and a piece of the apple in Snow White's throat dislodges. Because slow metabolism, okay, she wakes up. The prince is delegated or delighted, and they get ready for marriage. The evil queen is invited too, since she does not know it is Snow White. White, the prince is getting married to. She visits them. Snow White is revealed, all the evil done to her. His punishment for her actually crimes is glowing hot iron shoes are actually brought before her, and she is ordered to wear them and dance until she drops dead. That was the torture rule back then. Huh. Torture rule. What do you think? Are you guys enjoying story time? Story time at the Viking. These have some like twists and turns compared to the original fairy tales. So it makes you think. But that's okay. Let's go back in time to our childhood and destroy some more of your memories. It's not what I'm trying to do. Let's go back again. What about Rapunzel? Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. When Rapunzel is actually stuck in the tower, the prince visits her at night and gives her a small silk handkerchief each night. When she can sew it to a long enough rope ladder, they also have, sexual relations, and Rapunzel is pregnant. The Wicked Witch discovers her secret when she accidentally asks the witch why her dress suddenly feels so tight around the middle. In the anger, she cuts off Rapunzel's hair and casts her off into the wilderness. Meanwhile, when the prince comes to visit her that night, the witch hurls him up using the servant's hair. He is shocked to see the witch and jumps out the window. The thorns below prick his eyes, and he goes blind. He roams the wastelands and finally comes upon Rapunzel, who is the mother of his children. They reunite when he cries. His eyes are automatically healed. True or fairy tale? Which one do you think, guys? True or fairy tale? Let's talk. How many other twisted fairy tales do you guys know out there? Story time. Twisted tales of the past that have been altered. Let's see what we got here. Wow, let's see. Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood, there is an actual wolf. Okay, but is the wolf a metaphor? Is the wolf a metaphor for a type of individual? Can't actually be a real wolf dressing as his granny. So, but that's what the fairy tales say. So let's find out, shall we? Okay. Now, this takes place after Okay. After the wolf actually eats the grandmother, he leaves some of her meat and blood that he cooks and offers it to Little Red Riding Hood. And again, wolves don't cook. So think about this for a minute. Think, wolves. So basically, she's eating her own grandmother, which is kind of gross. She is then ordered by the wolf in the grandmother's disguise to throw her clothes in the fire and come lie beside him. Here we go again. When Little Red Riding Hood realizes it is a wolf and that he will eat her too, she makes an excuse and says she needs to go, oh my God, to the bathroom. The wolf actually tries to string her legs and cannot escape. Little Red Riding Hood actually reties the string to an object and escape. Okay. Yeah. So this is a really, really interesting type stories we have over here. Now, these are twisted fairy tales, so to speak. Twisted fairy tales of the past. And I have another one about the Valkyries when we get through with these that were taken over by Disney. Then we can have little jets, little jets, little jets. We'll have jets. All right. Okay, so now we have what is known as the Frog Prince. Now, most versions of this, okay, the princess kisses the frog turns into a prince, okay? Or vice versa, where the princess actually turns into a frog herself. Now, most versions are like that. Voila. However, in the earlier versions, the princess throws the frog up against the wall in disgust and then beats him until he transforms. Yeah, very weird, huh? So she beats him until he transforms. I'm telling you, that's one violent woman. What do you think? And you think our Valkyries are you think us Valkyries are having a bad time here? Huh? 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 Almost look like they had a little beak. Just had a little beak, I could go. So talk to me, people. How you doing? Now, how many of you know what the job of a Valkyrie is? Do you know what the real job of a Valkyrie is? Valkyries work for Odin. How many of you out there know what they do? Now, after a battle, the Valkyries sometimes they appear on horses and other times they don't. Will ride down to a battlefield and they will pick the best, the absolute best warriors to bring up for Odin's great war into the heavens. Those that they feel are not worthy, they are not worthy. The crows and the ravens get to eat them. True stories, twisted tales of the past. Twisted tales. So, how many of you out there having a good time on story time out there? Oof. We've got twisted tales of the past, some information over Valkyries. We're just getting into all kinds of interesting stuff. Next week, readings. So I'm going to talk to Joni and see if Joni and I can actually tag team next week, which is, I think it's a holiday on Monday. So it's the day after the holiday. So there are so many versions of several different types of stories about history, about folklore, fairy tales. And there's fairy tales and every folk tales, fairy tales, Celtic tales, tales from everything. So literally, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about stories that came from the past that we have taken and put in it into forms that are more placid? Have we, as individuals, okay, have we become too sensitive? Have we become too sensitive to the truth of the stories of the past? Huh? Have we? The truth, Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack and the Beanstalk, where he steals the magic harp from the giants. Okay, supposed to be a fairy tale. But the giants were real. Back then, the giants were real. Ogres had one eye. Sometimes the giants in stories will have two eyes. Sometimes they will appear as ogres and have one eye. And they don't go fee fi fo fum. That they don't do. They don't do that at all. So Jack was, back in the day, according to this story, Jack was what is known as a little person. We don't use the M word now. He was a little person. This person was a giant and very tall. So the tail was stretched. And he, this little person, happened to be a very, very talented thief. So the thief, Jack, as they called him later in years, his name became Jack. He went to the home of the giant and he did steal this harp. Now, this was not a magic harp, but the harp was made of an exquisite material. So, yeah, it was worth a few back then. So, the story of Jack and the Beanstalk was actually dealt with. Dun, dun, dun. It was an actual little person, and yes, a giant. A giant. Well, do you know? Do you know? All right, guys, we got about 15 minutes left, and I thought the stories would take a little bit longer than what they did. But what you want to do is you want to look up the Grimm's fairy tales. Now, the Grimm's fairy tales are the original, the Brothers Grimm. There was a movie or some type of a TV show about that. Now, the Brothers Grimm, the original, they are the actual original fairy tales, right down to Pinocchio, Indian fairy tales, Mother Goose. They even get into some of the Japanese type fairy tales, princes and goblins, actually. The Hans Children Andersen, Arabian Nights, that's another one they called it. The Blue Fairy. So there are a lot of different fairy tales out here where the point was the story was altered. So these original stories were altered. Think of it this way. We're in school. How many of you guys in school actually played what is known as a round? When you start in like one end, yeah, I'm doing anything but bending this hand. I'm supposed to have a cast on it, but it didn't work with the outfit. So that's my cast. I'll put it back on after. So um, you start, and I think I did this first grade, kindergarten, I'm not really sure. So you start off, you say one thing, and then you pass it along, pass it along, pass it along, pass it along. Now, by the time you are done with this story and you tell the story to the original person, how many actually do get it exact? You don't. You don't. But around the 20th century, yes, hello, watching on TV and phone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, some of these stories actually weren't changed until, believe it or not, according to my research, it was Disney that took these original fairy tales and actually switched them into something a little bit more placid, okay? So they turned it into something soapy and washed it up to make it more feasible for children to actually do it. So the fairy tales that we have fallen in love with as kids, and it's like, oh my God, yes, I want this prince to come save the day. And I'm like, yeah, no. So that wasn't actually what happened. That wasn't the truth. So the tales that we do know as of today didn't actually originate like that. Like when we used to sing as kids, ring around the rosy, pot full of posies, ashes, ashes, we all fall down. There's actually an alternate meaning to that. And when we used to sing London Bridge is falling down, that means there's the king or the queen is actually dying. That's London Bridge is falling down. That actually did originate from the Queen of England, who the bridge did fall. London Bridge did fall. So back in our day, because she was queen for quite many years, she was an monarch. Excuse me, she was the queen. I can't think of the other word right now for many years. So and London Bridge is falling was one of their code words. Now that is something that actually became a nursery rhyme. So that's where that actually originated. Okay, that's London Bridge is falling down. Now the other one, I feel like I need a bake. I don't know. I'll come up with some more. I'm going to throw some more leather on this and I'm going to go to town. I want to come up with at least once a month to twice, every other month. I don't know. I want to come up with some unusual stories, get dressed up in costume, and let you guys have fun, laugh at me, laugh with me. I don't care. Let's have a good time. And for a change, us as adults, let's have our story time. We tell stories to kids, we always have. Let's let me tell you the true stories. I am whacked like that. So let's see. Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies. Now, this particular nursery rhyme, believe it or not, is has nothing to do with pretty little posies, okay? And ashes, ashes, you all fall down. That's because you smoked it all up and your asses are going down. That's what that's about. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, oh my goodness, guys. So that, believe it or not, I've been through every single nursery rhyme I have. But there are free PDF books. The Grimm's Fairy Tales is actually written by Jacob Grimm, and Whalum Grimm is actually a PDF. So if you look up the book and you can go to the PDF, you can actually download it for free, and you can get some of the original fairy tales. I was still trying to research and come up with the stories like for Bigfoot and things like that. Iron Tap, yeah. So, and again, the Bigfoot and things like that. I know that some of these legend actually originated in truth or in Hello Kendra originated in truth or originated somewhere in history. So you have to think about that. Like the story, London Bridge is falling down. It's actually the Queen, London Bridge. That's what that means. So, so get into literally doing your research, looking up some information, and just literally say, it gives you that, huh, really? Things you didn't know, because some of the fairy tales actually written by Jacobs and Joseph were actually written in 1854 to 1816. But when Disney took them over, some of the fairy tales. That's not all of them. But when Disney actually took over some of the fairy tales, that was, oh my goodness, what is this? Look, I found another book. Wow. So this book that I just ran across right now, Joseph Jacobs, okay? This is actually the original Celtic fairy tales, and it was written in 18, what is it, 1854? And I guess the last printing printed out in 1916. So, wow. And it actually talks about this talks about mermaids. This is really interesting. Maybe I should share this link with you guys so you can go through this. It's actually Celtic fairy tales. You might actually enjoy this. So yeah, there's lots of different meanings. So let me share this link with you guys. Now, this is the link themselves that actually gets it, and you're flipping through it like an old book. So, and you don't have to worry about getting actually down into it. But let's see, the field of the horned women. Oh my God, on page 30. So I'm not sure if some of these are actually feasible full page illustrations. Let's see. Oh my God, Kalana and the Fairy Maiden. Ooh, that looks like a pretty interesting one. So there's a lot of different types of fairy tales and things. So that was just a link I thought you guys might actually find a little interesting. Hopefully it did go out there. I did share it, so hopefully it did go. Yeah, so that will be pretty interesting. So we got about 9 minutes left. Now, next week, I'm going to do readings. I'm going to talk to Joni because I think Monday's a holiday. So maybe we can come up with like a tag team. Joni and I could tag team and do some readings. And it's been a little while since I've done readings for you guys. So I thought it would be something, you would enjoy doing some readings. So literally, guys, what's up? You like my outfit? Or you think I should change it? Because in the Valkyrie. I still feel like I need that beat going there. All right. So it's yes, I had a lot of fun tonight. I wanted to do something totally out of my comfort zone because I've always been very serious, always done readings, but back in my cable day, I used to dress up, tell stories, get into character, and it was things way back in the day that I used to do, and I haven't done this in a long time. So it felt really good just to kind of let loose and be me and understand, you know what? This is my thing, guys. Life is so short. Enjoy it while you're here. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your time. Okay, because you never know. Let's have some fun. Let's have some laughter. Let's really get into this. I mean, this is just it was a test of my character. Yes. So and I think we should do that. I think we should all get together and have a little fun with everybody. So but to tell you the truth, right now my hand is killing me. So I have to actually take this off and I think ice it a little bit before my daughter comes over to hit me. And I love you guys. So hopefully you had enough fun. Don't forget tomorrow, not tomorrow, but next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I am doing readings. So I'm going to talk to Joni, but I think she'd be more than willing to do readings with me, and it'll be fun. We'll do a bunch of different readings at once, and we'll have a really good time. And don't forget, pretty soon the donation link will be up to help the Rift Network. So we're going to get work on that and get that up. So there'll be a donation a link. I don't really have an example of it at the moment because it has to be exact. Like I can show you this one will say support this stream, and there's different ones like that, but that'll be up. So anybody that wants to donate to help out the Rift Network, that would be awesome. Also because we want to get some t-shirts and some other things actually get going for the people that actually watch. Don't forget the website is still up and it's running. YouTube channel, like and subscribe. You want to subscribe, you want to hit the bell notifications, you always know when your favorite show is coming on. And with me, you never know what's coming out of my mouth. Okay, so we're just gonna have a good time, and the RNN is just gonna continue to grow, and it's just a really awesome place to be, and it's a good place for you to let loose, have some fun, and literally, this is a family atmosphere. Now, if anybody's interested in a show, please get a hold of Ed. Okay, Ed Odell, get a hold of him. Send a message to RNN. Um, you can also send an email over to us as well. That would be a good place to actually start, message him and find out, talk to him about your show ideas. Because you know what? There's no reason why we can't have a good time. You never know. So send him a message, find out, and let's get all of this. We are get all of this going, and we are family people. We are family. And that's what it's about. When one's in trouble, there's always somebody there to help. Okay? There is. And that's what this network is about. This network is actually about family. So we're gonna play this ending for you. Oh, that reminds me, I gotta build that thing tomorrow too. All right, so we're gonna play this for you, and I'm gonna call it a night. Peace out. Hopefully, you guys had as much fun as I had doing this.